Welcome to 10-Minute Type Advice by Personality Hacker. I'm Joel Mark Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
This show features questions from the Personality Hacker community that we answer in about 10 minutes. We've been using personality types in our coaching for years, and we'd love to answer your questions about personal growth through the lens of type. You can find out more about us at personalityhacker.com. Okay, now let's hear today's question.
Hey guys, I love your podcast and you both provide really great insight and perspectives. And I know obviously you're both into Myers-Briggs and Enneagram, but I recently got into human design as a personal development tool, and I wondered if you guys had any interest in that and what your opinions were on it or on that system in general. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Amy, for the question. Basically, what are our thoughts on the human design system? Would you say this is a typology system, Antonia?
Yeah. I like it. That's my opinion on human design.
I do too. I don't even know why I like it.
I don't either. I don't know why I like it either. I just do. I'm gonna there's beginner and intermediate and journeyman awarenesses of different systems, and I would say I'm still officially in like the beginner level. I know my chart. I know Joel's chart. I know our daughter Piper's chart. I know a couple others. And you and I have had a comparison done, so we know things like our channels. So for those of you who are not familiar with human design is a diagnostic on certain personality traits that are related to where you were born on the planet and when. So I think there's some crossover and association with things like astrology. I don't know what the connection is because it's not the same, but there is I don't think astrology needs to know where you were born. But I don't know. Human design is crazy. It's like one of those things where I don't know why I think it's true. I just know that everything I've heard about it and everything I've read about my chart just feels dead on, and not in like a, well, okay. So human design is,
what are you talking about?
What am I talking about? You can tell that I am not an expert on this topic because all the thoughts are bottlenecking in my head and I haven't completely, sort of flayed them out. But I think it's a typology system. I would say that. I don't know if the people who are the experts at human design would call it that, but it is a system that diagnoses certain characteristics and traits that you're going to come up with based on the factors I mentioned before. And it focuses on areas in the body that feel to me to be energy sources. I'm going to completely flub this up. There are going to be human design experts out there that will email in or write in or comment under this podcast that will tell me how I'm getting it all wrong. But here I go. So, and they kind of feel like they're related to chakras a bit. Like there's a head center and a throat center and a spleen and a heart. And there are different areas in your body that represent certain energy sources. And these energy sources have relationships with the other parts. So there are channels that connect these different energy sources to each other. So I know that bit. I also know that these energy sources can be either open or closed. And open or closed means that you feel definitive about this or you are easily influenced in this thing. Like take, for example, I have a closed head center. So I feel very definitive about my thoughts, whereas you, Joel, have an open head center. But the spleen, was it the spleen that I have an open spleen center and you have a closed one?
Yeah, I think that deals with willpower.
Right.
So I have much more definitive willpower toward things in the world, and you're a little more open to, whatever.
Yeah, I can be taken in a little easier than you can when it comes to motivation and intention and will and that sort of thing. I don't really know what I want to do, and you always know what you want. So you've got these centers. They can be open or closed. They have relationships with each other. Almost think of them as tubes, right? That's what they look like on the chart. These tubes that go back and forth. And half of that tube, right, that channel, can be filled in, and the other half can be open, meaning that, let's say I have on this channel where it attaches to one center, let's assign it a number, let's say it's a 12, and on the other side it's like a 21. I don't know if those two are connected. Human design people, let me know. But let's pretend it's a 12 and a 21. And I have the 12 side filled in. It's associated with the heart, let's say. And then I run into somebody else who has the 21 side filled in, meaning that they don't have the 12 side, they have the 21 side. And when we get together, we complete that channel for each other. And so when we're in each other's energy, we're going to form sort of like we'll feel like the other person completes us in some way. And so we'll be attracted to their energy. So like Joel and I, we have, there's a couple different channels that we complete for each other. I think like 5 or 6 of them, half a dozen. And one of them is the channel of money. So separated, apparently, we don't generate resource nearly as much as when we're together. That was one thing that human design told us about ourselves. So there's this complex system of energy sources and channels and, different elements. On top of that, there's a bunch of other information that can be discovered in all of these energy centers and our relationship to them that give us certain personality traits. And so those things will diagnose not only how you show up, but people's response and reaction to you. And then there's also like a short list of primary styles of people, like generators, manifestors, others that I can't remember. Like projectors, I think is one of them.
Yeah.
And most people are generators. I'm a generator. Joel's a generator. I think the overwhelming majority of people are generators. And then there's projectors and manifestors, and they all do different things. And that's also supposed to indicate certain personality traits. And all of these things, of course, are diagnostics that indicate certain styles of behavior. Like as a generator, I'm supposed to bring questions about what I want down to brass tacks, like yes or no. So anytime I'm trying to make a decision, a person needs to ask it of me in a very like yes, no way. And then I'll know my answer with clarity, those kinds of things. Joel, you work with a coach that uses human design.
Yeah. Yeah, my coach, Deb, she works with me on emotional management, emotional process release, tapping, and then we often talk about parts work and human design as well in some of the coaching that I do with her. And so she's giving me some insight. I kind of have delegated this to her aspect. So like she has my chart, she got yours, and she helps give me some guidance and coaching around how to see this in my own life and your life. I look at this as something just personal for us for diagnostic reasons. We really have not probably tapped into even a small percentage of the application of this model because we're so focused on the Myers-Briggs and Enneagram models right now, in the business that we're building currently at Personality Hacker and the coaching that we do. Is a whole nother skill set that I don't know if we're going to expand into right now, but it is very personally enlightening to me to see some of these things. And it's like, wow, that really explains a lot of how I'm showing up in the world. Explains things that maybe Myers-Briggs doesn't explain, like that spleen idea, right? Like I've got a very defined spleen with a will. Now I guess you could explain it through like a type lens, but it's more of an energetic explanation of what's going on. I think that's really what I've learned from it is when you start to get into archetypical energies, and this is the world that you want to tap into, I think human design becomes very interesting because I think that's the world that it plays in.
Yeah. And I think it's diagnosed a couple of things that I haven't seen in any other system that I've worked with. I mean, obviously we're awkward here because we don't know, we are bigger fans of the system than we are knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
So I like it, and also I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently, but I can give you an opinion, obviously. I can always give an opinion. But I will say this, it did explain a couple things that I felt were very specific and peculiar to this system. The first one is that apparently, I'm not sure if this is a channel or just a trait, but I have something called mutation. I want to say it's the channel of mutation, but it might just be the trait of it. And effectively what it said is that I'm going to be a very polarizing figure because when people get into my energetic space, my field, like basically around me, I don't really have to say much of anything apparently. I encourage them to start transforming, right? It's called mutation. And for a percentage of people, they like that. They like the idea of being around something that encourages, almost like carbonating a part of them. It's like, that's basically how I heard it described, is it's like carbonating something inside that encourages, changing something, mutating something, transforming something. And for a percentage of people, that's very attractive. But there's a large percentage of people in which that is very unattractive. And so it's highly polarizing. And it described why I tend to have a very polarized experience with people. I might not do much of anything. I just like am around and people like have a very definitive opinion on whether or not they like me. I'm like, that's intriguing. I hadn't seen that anywhere else. The other one is we have a very dear friend who has used human design in business for the last, decade-ish. And he created something that he called a penta, which is taking everybody's human design chart and then figuring out where we fit in the organization.
I don't know if he created it. I think he created it from knowledge that was there of how to create one.
No, I don't mean he invented the penta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant he created a penta for our business. Yeah. I don't know who invented the concept of the penta, but he used it and created one for us. Yeah. And we're not name dropping that we know the inventor of the penta, even though I'm sure that would get us a lot of popularity in this group. So he created one for us, and it pointed out, we had like probably 6 people on staff at that time, or 5 people, 6 people. There was a group of us. And there was a missing sort of space called accounting. Now, it wasn't about being an accountant. It was more like somebody who sort of keeps track of things, right? Processes, effectively. Somebody who's just sort of tracking everything over time. And over the years, that was years and years and years ago. Over the years, people have gone to other projects, and we've gotten other people onto our staff. And so now we have a different configuration of people in the company. And we got somebody, hired them on, and they have accounting, right? They fit in that part of the penta. They have that quality or that characteristic or trait. And it has been a game changer. I cannot tell you how transformative it was to have somebody come with that energy.
Well, that's the energy, not even the trait or the ability. It's just the energy of it, he was telling us. And if you have somebody on the team, maybe that's not even their role to keep track, but they bring that energy. Other people on the team that it is their role will keep track better.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's like it's energetic, and it's so ethereal and weird, and yet we've seen it experientially show up for us in these ways.
Yeah. So it's woo, we're into woo. I'm into woo. And so I don't mind those kinds of things. There may or may not be a logical explanation for it, but I'm okay if there's not. I just know that human design has diagnosed things that other systems have not. And by the way, the person who had that energy of accounting is not a Myers-Briggs or Enneagram personality type that one would associate with that energy. And so it wasn't something that could have just been easily diagnosed in another way. So there are a couple of things like that. So one of the reasons why I think I've hesitated on getting more into human design is, first of all, it feels like a juggernaut. It feels humongous, right? It feels like a ton of information. It's not something that you just dip your toe in, it seems. Like, obviously, I've dipped my toe in and I don't know anything. And every time I've dipped into it, it feels like it's a very esoteric place. Like, a lot of the resources and tools I've read feel almost like I have to really get into an abstraction here and really kind of mine out stuff. So it doesn't feel casual. That said, I have always enjoyed every conversation I've had with somebody around human design. It's given me a couple different ahas. And if a person wants like a vote of confidence in it, I would say I'm a fan personally. And it seems like it'll take you down a whole different rabbit hole.
Thanks, Amy, for the question. You can ask your own question about personality types or personal growth. Visit personalityhacker.com/questions. We also have programs designed to help you with your personal growth through the lens of personality types. Again, visit personalityhacker.com and find the program that's made just for you. My name is Joel Mark Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
Thank you for listening to 10-Minute Type Advice by Personality Hacker. We'll talk with you on the next episode. If you're focused on personal growth, I think you'll resonate with our core content over at personalityhacker.com. We want to see you understand how your mind is wired so you can generate motivation, improve social skills, find career opportunities, and master excellent decision making. But a quick warning, we are advice and action focused in all of our articles, podcasts, and videos. This means that we attract people who like to be challenged to become excellent, to take action, to put in the work to optimize themselves, not simply just gather more information. If you are committed to personal growth and ready to radically find your inner truth, Then come over and be a part of our growing community of like minds at Personality Hacker.